thank you so much for joining us today for Syracuse Giving Day. My name is Alex McKelvie. I'm the Interim Dean at the Whitman School of Management, but I've been here since 2007. So I started my career at Whitman as a faculty member in the entrepreneurship program. I've had a number of different roles here. So I've really been part of this community. My family's from this community. We've been able to live here since 2007 and grow our family, have a home, and all these things. And I'm really excited to share with you today some of these great things that are going on at the Whitman School of Management that I think you'll find interesting as well. And I think when we do things like this, I like to start off with this idea of where are we going? Why are we doing the things we're doing? And our fundamental vision at the end of the day is to prepare students for this future of professional and personal success. And I think that the combination of both the professional and the personal is important, but it's also unique. That we're not a school, we're not a community that only does professional leadership building. It's not only about the technical skills they'll need to be successful, but truly fundamentally, a lot of the things we do and a lot of the investments we make are to also do the personal development, make sure that people are well-rounded, that people are able to deal with important challenges in life, which obviously trickles down or trickles through to their professional lives as well. So whether it's through research, whether it's through community work, there's a lot of things that we do to prepare students for this professional and personal success. And what I want to talk to you today is about a select number of things that I'm calling Whitman points of pride. Now, I could talk quite a bit about the outstanding faculty we have, the new recruits that we're bringing in, the amazing research that they're doing, the impactful work they're doing in the media to really share and provide some context to what's going on. We could also talk about some of the work we're doing in the community with our Wise Women's Business Center, our Veterans Program, or on the Southside Innovation Center. We can also talk about the stuff that's going on in the building, a lot of the transformation that we're seeing to modernize our building and make sure that we're acting and behaving and looking like a top 35 business school. So even though I could talk, for an hour or so about a lot of those things, I'm really going to highlight three things today that I'm talking about, the Whitman points of pride, that I think are really fit in with the context of Whitman Giving Day. And I'd say the number one thing that I'd like to convey is just all of the ways that we're working to support our students, making sure that they have the same opportunity as everyone else, that students, regardless of their background, regardless of their ability to pay, are able to get a full Whitman experience. And especially as we're seeing demographics change over time, as different needs are popping up, and as we're better identifying how we can do even more to support our students, I think one of the key things I really want to highlight is what's new and what's important and that we're very proud of in how we're supporting our students. One thing I'll lead off with is the work that we're doing to support our first generation students. This last incoming class, undergraduates, had 19% first generation students. And that means that neither of their parents attended college. Those students represent different backgrounds, come from different walks of life, come from different parts of the country, but importantly, they're first ones in their family to go to college. And that's important because our job to make sure our students get as best prepared for the future as possible is to provide mentoring, guidance, and additional support to them. So this year we launched a program called Whitman First, which is a mentoring program with faculty and staff to work specifically with our first generation students. Now, many of our faculty, many of our staff too are first generation students. So this one is an idea that really resonated with them to be able to provide some support. Now, with that, we also had a resource group for students to make sure that they also getting the right information. And we created a program for their parents as well, to be able to make sure that the parents are knowing what's going on at the Whitman School so they can best support their student as well. Now, because of all the work we're doing with our multicultural and our first generation students, we recently received a national award, which was from Insight into Diversity, which is one of the leading media in diversity training. And we received an Inspiring Program in Business Award. So this puts us at a kind of an elite level of business schools that are doing the right thing to support their students. That's one of the different ways that we're working to support our students. Another one is a new initiative we launched launched earlier this year on mental health. This was much great thanks to the Nass family. And what this does is provide mental health training and support for students and really destigmatizing a lot of what's going on with issues related to burnout, managing stress, anxiety, work-life balance, and also priorities. Now, what this does is it prepares students to see and challenge themselves for what's important in their lives, but also work with their peers, work with their teammates, and when they go on to industry and become leaders, to work with the rest of the people in their organization to provide, healthy support in making sure that they're successful. And that's when I was talking about professional and personal success. This particular initiative really emphasizes that personal success part. We've also done a lot of work in making sure that our students can get internships. So thanks to very generous gifts, we've been able to provide internship support. And what that means is students who are perhaps making minimum wage, having these amazing career opportunities in New York City, in Boston, in Chicago, and other major metro areas, but not receiving the pay that would allow them to live successfully in those areas. And this is particularly for rising seniors. Whitman is one of the schools that requires an internship to graduate. So a lot of that takes place between the junior and senior years during the summer. So we've been able to provide some funding to allow students to have ends meet, to be able to accept these internship opportunities at these amazing companies, but also allow them to cover their bills to live in these areas and do that. So even though we have outstanding advisors, career advisors, academic advisors, faculty, staff, some of these new initiatives on mental health, working with first generation and multicultural students, and this internship funding are specific pride points in how Whitman is doing an excellent job and hoping to do more in supporting our students. Now, I realize also that I'm speaking quickly. What I forgot to mention at the very beginning was I'm happy to answer any questions you have at the end. If you'd like to ask a question, feel free to pop that into the little Q&A button that you'll see on your screen. And once I'm done my prepared remarks, we'll be able to go and address those. So again, I'm happy to answer questions and go into details. But any of these or other issues, but we'll run that through the Q&A button and I'll address those at the end. So the second area of pride that I really want to address is this idea of experiential and global programs. Business education is changing. Students are expecting to be able to get their hands dirty and really see how a lot of the classroom knowledge that they're learning is applicable in the real world. Part of our goal as a business school is also to prepare those students for that real world. So to the extent that we can make those connections is huge. One of the things we've been doing for quite a long time, but really expanded this year, is our career exploration trips. These career exploration trips bring students to see amazing companies that they can only aspire to work at. And so as sophomores in many cases, or as MBA students, in their first year, being able to go and see global companies like Goldman Sachs, Google, Ernst & Young, and many others, and really be able to see and hear from these industry leaders will allow them to ask questions about what does life look like in that company, but also what should I do to prepare myself to apply for jobs in these areas. Now, we rely on our alumni to help open these doors for us. But we've expanded those trips tremendously. This year alone, we'll do 10 different trips to reflect all the different majors to go into New York City. For the second year in a row, we've gone to Silicon Valley, where we've gone to see great tech companies and innovative startups in Silicon Valley. For the first time this year, we went to Boston and went to DC, where we brought a large group of students to go and see what is going on in these cities and leveraging our Orange family to be able to connect with them for career success, to help our students understand what needs to be done. So we've invested heavily in these types of career exploration trips, which really are experiential programs. We have reinvested in our Corey Hatchery. Those of you who've been in the building for the last 20 years will have seen on the first floor, right across from the elevators, our entrepreneurship space. We've redone that this year. We've brought back more staff. We've done a lot more programming. And so with that, being able to allow students to come in and become entrepreneurs and practice what they're learning in the classroom and really try to grow their business is something we've seen a great uptick on this last year. We've also made investments in real estate. We've recently hired a new faculty member whose job it is to manage a lot of the student programming. So similar to what we're doing in entrepreneurship, we can expect to see in the next few months a lot of experiential learning, hands-on programs, case competitions, and travel to visit successful alumni and corporate partners in the real estate space. So we're excuse me, very excited about what's going to come out of our real estate program, which we see as an amazing opportunity to grow, but also leverage the talents of our alumni base. We also, a few months ago, launched a Dean's SDG Challenge, which is Sustainable Development Goals. We charged a group of students. It's actually grown so much, we're now over 30 different teams of students working on UN Sustainable Development Goal issues. And a lot of those are related to people or planet issues. So as our curriculum has increased to focus on sustainability, we wanted to make sure that the students are seeing and hearing about what these major challenges to sustainable development goals are, but also think about solutions to them. So they've been working very hard this semester with amazing industry panels. We have a faculty panel coming up. In about a month from now, we're actually going to have some presentations by these students to see what they've come up with to help address some of these important sustainable development challenges. With this, we started to expand our experiential learning programs to also include project-based learning, so working on specific companies, on projects for specific companies. We're able to once again work with Reebok, for instance, and a lot of data analytics programs. But across our school, we now have a robust and increasingly robust set of programs and courses that include experiential learning, but also importantly, expanding the knowledge learned to a global context. And certainly, we have a lot of students who go abroad through SU Abroad. This semester, we have a few hundred all around the world, including Australia, Spain, Eastern Europe, as well as in our usual SU spaces. And Barcelona is our big #1 partner outside of the SU Abroad program. But with that, we've done shorter intensive courses. And for those students who attend these, we're able to see and expose students to new ideas in a week or 2-week level programs. And that is especially for students who can't afford or are not able to go away for a full semester, but really be able to go for a shorter period of time. So we've expanded and done programs in Kenya, worked with local entrepreneurs, but also with subsidiaries of multiple multinational countries or companies. In a few weeks from now, after graduation, we'll be sending a group to Singapore and Malaysia to understand business in Asia, similar to the program we ran last May, where we sent students to Korea and Japan. This is the third of these three. The first time we offered this program was in Shanghai and Beijing before the pandemic. And now the third of these 3 series of business in Asia programs looking at Singapore and Malaysia. So across the board, we're investing heavily and expecting to grow in the very near future our set of experiential and global programs. I forgot to mention when I mentioned SU Abroad that we're actually doing a lot more in London, including having a full-time faculty member there who's collaborating on different courses, bringing in real projects from London to make sure that our students are exposed to this amazing global hub that is London, and connecting in Whitman alumni and corporate partners to be able to make sure that our time in London, our students' time in London, is as valuable as possible. So combined, we're investing heavily and we're very proud of our work and where we're going in terms of experiential and global programs. The third one I want to mention is collaboration and connections with industry. So the collaboration piece is really working across campus, and business is becoming increasingly multidisciplinary. We're understanding challenges, issues, situations from a multi-lens perspective, allows our students to better understand the world around them, but also importantly, gain the critical thinking skills and the perspective and empathy to understand how other people might be approaching the same challenges and situations. Recently, we started a new master's degree program with the Maxwell School on sustainable development, so sustainable organizations and policy. That's just been launched, so we welcome a new class in that program in the fall. We also launched new programs with the Falk School. So for the first time in this fall, we'll have dual programs with sports management and public health. But in total, we now have this tremendously large and impactful portfolio of dual programs that includes 7 graduate degrees that are dual programs with other schools on campus, 2 certificate programs, those are at the graduate level, and also 14 undergraduate dual programs. And those dual students are some of the most talented people we have. The one we had with Newhouse has been longstanding, but we now have many more with the iSchool, with Arts and Sciences, with Maxwell, with Falk, and with others as well. So we're tremendously proud of the collaborative effort we're doing to bring to life a lot of business at the intersection of other programs. Now, the connections with industry have looked in different ways. We have a very growing and strong relationship with Micron. Those of you who haven't heard, is Micron's coming to town and putting in $100 billion of investment into the local community. So Micron is a leading chip manufacturer. And so that's going to be getting a lot of press and has already received a lot of press. We're working very closely with them already on some programming, and especially in connection with our supply chain management program and also with their supplier diversity program. And this is where a lot of our community work will come in, but also our excellence and longstanding success with supply chain programs that will really be closely connected to our work with Micron. We also have a number of project-based learning where we're able to leverage alumni speakers and our corporate partners to bring in real projects to make sure that students are working on situations and challenges and data sets that will be relevant to their work after they graduate. We, in the fall, launched a new Qs 50 program. So if those of you have heard of the Inc. 500 for fastest growing companies in America, we launched the Qs 50 for the fastest growing companies that are started by Syracuse alums. And as part of that award system and program, we had a full day of programming with the student entrepreneurs as well. So it wasn't just in an alumni event of excellence, but really an opportunity to re-engage our student entrepreneurs with industry as well. And also this semester, we launched an impact speaker series, having high profile guest speakers come to do a fireside chat and a lot of different programming. So last week we had Buddy Velastro come to campus. He's most known for his work as the cake boss, but very successful entrepreneur, family business leader, and transformational, and addressing his transformational work, going from a bakery to now having multiple New York Times bestsellers, millions and millions of social media followers, and leveraging a lot of new technology and supply chain to move from small bake shops to being now in Walmart, to being in vending machines, and having some really cool packaging to be able to have longer shelf life and maintaining the high quality of its products. So with the Cake Boss here and other speakers we had from Wells Fargo and from Micron, we're really exposing students to some of the great insights of contemporary business leaders, good role models, and people who can share some of the tips of their success. I will say that I'm hoping we can do even more closer connections with industry in the future, but one of the main pride points that we have so far is our ability to collaborate well with others across campus, grow our portfolio of dual degree programs to make sure more students on campus have access to Whitman talent, but also making sure that our students are being prepared for that world after graduation. So perhaps not surprisingly, all these good things have led to some good outcomes. So part of what we do behind the scenes is to, create these programs, make students feel as though they belong, open up doors to really make them supportive, and challenging them to do more experiential and global programs. But importantly, this is resonating with the market. This year for fall entrance, we have almost 7,700 applicants to our undergraduate program. 7,700 applicants to our undergraduate program, which makes coming to Whitman very difficult because we almost have 14 applicants for every spot we have available, which means that young people, their parents who are looking to have a great educational experience are thinking about the Whitman School. We also see that is resonating with the market in terms of placement. So, at 6 months from graduation, we're ahead on the undergraduate placement numbers. We're always looking for more help. Students are always looking for better jobs and at companies where they really want to be. And part of our work in Silicon Valley, Boston, DC, and elsewhere is to make sure that they also see what life can be like outside of New York. Even though New York is still our hub, our students are also increasingly looking to go to different places, including staying in Syracuse. And so being able to provide those pathways for them to launch their careers here also helps. And because of our investment back into the Corey Hatchery and entrepreneurship success, we're seeing some entrepreneurial success. Some of the entrepreneurship students dominated an entrepreneurship pitch competition that was cross campus, that was specifically part of a Black History Month programming, and they've done really, really well in New York State business plan competitions. We're now placing students at Techstars and other leading accelerators and incubators, placing students on Shark Tank, and a lot of other entrepreneurial success. So when I say that the high demand for Whitman is there, it's across a variety of different metrics, including incoming students, placing students after graduation, and even some success that we're seeing in case competitions and entrepreneurial competitions. So with that, I wanted to, highlight those proof points and points of pride related to doing a lot to welcome our students, investing heavily in experiential and global programs, and certainly in collaboration and connections with industry. So today is Giving Day. I think everyone knows what that means. We're looking for your support. And I'll be very frank in saying all of these great things that we're doing, providing scholarships, providing financial support to make students, making students able and financially viable to go to New York City, to go to DC, to go to Silicon Valley, to go to Kenya, to go to Malaysia and Singapore. That requires funding. And this is where genuinely I'm so appreciative of all of our donors who contribute what they can to make students and make these opportunities available to students. We wouldn't be there without your help. Today in particular is not one about necessarily big gifts, but showing that we can collectively pool together. So if you go to givingday.syr.edu, you'll see a button that says, give a gift to the Whitman's Dean Fund. The Dean's Fund goes specifically for student support. That's how I use the money, or programmatic development. So as we're launching new majors, we're launching, new ways of being able to provide even more cutting edge experience to students. We use those Dean's Fund for that. So I'm really appreciative of anything that you can give to help support students. And if financial gifts aren't possible, we would definitely appreciate your support in having a conversation with students, helping them find a job, hiring them as interns or hiring them as placement, or even just having some of the different ways that you can contribute to the success in experiential learning and global programs, using your network to make Whitman a better place. So with that, my friends, I am so thankful for the opportunity for you to join me today. Go Orange, be Whitman. There's so much that we're doing well, and we want to keep the momentum going forward and really reaching new heights, and we couldn't do it without you. And every day, we're thankful for all that you guys do for us and pay it forward. So thank you very much. I mentioned before being able to, join in on the Q&A. I'd be happy to have any questions or answer any questions you might have to be able to, that I'd be happy to answer. So I have Dawn McWilliams, who's our Director of Marketing Communications, who is going to be monitoring those, and she's going to read those out at the, at the right question. So I see the first one here, Dawn, I see it, and that is, are all undergraduate students required to have an immersive experience abroad? Any other experiential learning programs, examples to highlight? So right now, the university is working to have an immersive experience abroad. Whitman is one where you have to have a global experience, and they can do that in different ways. And I think the different ways are important because of the time commitment and the financial commitment of going abroad, but also the different ways we can get global exposure. But there is a Whitman requirement to have a global experience, and that's why we are working to provide funding to allow students who might not be able to afford to go to these amazing places to go and get them. There are so many different experiential learning programs to exemplify. Corey Hatchery is one, where students are applying their learning to an entrepreneurial setting. We have equivalent programs in pretty much every major. Our Orange Value Fund is a very high profile one where students are doing value investing. That was Mr. Whitman's background, where they're managing a fund of a few $1 million. So we have a variety of these. I am particularly enthusiastic about where we're going on this. We've hired relatively recently a director of experiential programs who's been doing great work. We have some of our advisory council members who are helping us think through this. So my expectation is in the next few months, we'll be able to launch even more initiatives to help support experiential learning, because that truly is a part of the transformational learning experience that you'd expect students to have at a place like the Whitman School. Other questions? I'm happy to answer any question you guys might have. Well, if there's no more questions, I'll just again reiterate what I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of great things happening at the Whitman School. We're really appreciative of anything you can do for Giving Day. If you do want to make a gift of any size, givingday.syr.edu. You can go in and look for the Whitman Dean's Fund. That'll be the main fund we use to support all these initiatives. And I appreciate any different way that you can help support Whitman and their mission. I wish you a great rest of your day. It's a beautiful day here in sunny Syracuse, and it's sunny and blue skies. And I'm looking forward to next month as we move towards graduation, and then we'll have a very exciting summer with a large and robust incoming class. So thanks again, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for joining today. Have a great day. Go Orange.